Welcome back to my new video. This is another speed rebuild. You've just seen me fix the E-revo, which is standing right there, and it is looking really nice. Behind the E-revo there's the Mugen, which is also just been rebuilded, and now it's the X-maxx turn. It is not complete. I took the front end off, the rear end, took the differential out, center diff, rear diff. Electronics are all disconnected. I haven't driven it for almost 2 months. I crashed it at Christmas. I broke both shock towers. I bended both rear shocks. I fixed it. I drove it once, maybe twice, and then I've just put it aside. I didn't clean it, so now I have to pay the price. Bearings are locked up, drivetrain is not functioning properly, and the biggest problem of them all is that the servo is burned out. I've got the 2085X servo. It lasted for more than 2 years, which is pretty great, money's worth. But now it's time for an upgrade, so I'm gonna go with the Servo servo. I bought the aluminium casing so I can put it in the X-maxx. I'm gonna take it all apart, clean it, re-grease it, the differentials, the front, rear, middle. I'm not gonna do the shocks because I've rebuilt them at Christmas or just after Christmas, just after I crashed it. And since then I've only driven it twice, so the shock fluid inside is should be okay. So I'm gonna leave it like it is. I'm just gonna do the car and the drivetrain, and I'm gonna fix or clean the Kawasaki body, and I'm gonna do something special with it. You will see it at the end of the video. I had the Proline dash body for it. I still have it, but because I crashed it pretty hard, the body is a few centimeters shorter, so it doesn't fit anymore. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way on how to fix that or buy a new one. But for now, let's rebuild the X-maxx.
The X-maxx was incomplete because the last time I drove it, a friend of mine, he broke something in the drivetrain in his X-maxx. We were out bashing, and then his stopped working, the drivetrain stopped working. So he tried to fix it himself. He found out he had a broken rear differential, so he put a new pinion gear and planetary gear on it, and then the car worked fine. He drove it, but within 5 or 10 minutes the gears of the differential, they snapped again. So he fixed it again, and then within 5 minutes he broke them again. So he came to me and he asked me, "Hey man, can you have a look at my X-maxx, see what's wrong?" So I took his drivetrain out, his front, middle and rear differential, and I replaced it with my differentials to test his X-maxx, to see if maybe that would fix the problem. That's why my X-maxx was taken apart. I do love working on the X-maxx. It's a simple constructed car. It's easy to work on. Just a few screws can get you a very long way on working on the car. You want to take the differential out? Sure, that's like 9 screws, and then the differential is out. You remove the skid plate, you bend the bumper upwards, then you take the differential cover off, and then there you go. If you compare that to the E-revo, and working on the differential of the E-revo, you're gonna have to take half the car apart to even reach the front or the rear differential. You want to work on the center differential? Well, go ahead, take the engine out, take the skid plates out, take the center drivetrain out. Good luck with that. With the X-maxx, it's just a lot easier to work on. And because of the size of the X-maxx, it's a whole lot bigger than an E-revo. It just makes it easier to work on. It's easier to hold the small parts. The bearings are a lot bigger, they're easy to mount. Differentials are a whole lot bigger, so the spider gears inside the differential are much easier to place. Things like that, just by being bigger, makes it a whole lot easier to work on. The only thing which is easier on the E-revo or other cars compared to the X-maxx is replacing the servo. Because the servo in the X-maxx is tucked away pretty deep. It takes about 16 screws to take the servo out. You have to dismantle or take the front end off, then the center skid plate, and then you've reached the servo. While if you want to work on the E-revo or want to exchange the servo on the E-revo, then you only have to dismantle or dismount the servo and open the receiver box. That's like what? 8 screws. So that's a big difference. The X-maxx, if you ask me, is built for durability. Except for the drive cups that come out of the differential. Those are pretty bad. They wear out pretty fast, especially when you're running a big block engine like I do. If you run the original engine, which is a little bit smaller, a little bit less powerful, then you're going to be fine. But when having a bigger engine in there, less kVs, you're going to wear down the drive cups pretty fast. And the stop axles. Those are the aluminium axles that you put through the bearings. Those are pretty expensive. They cost about 25 euros each, which is 100 euros for the whole car, but they are made out of soft aluminium and they wear out pretty quickly. There are steel versions of those, which I bought second-hand on Marketplace. I've mounted them on the X-maxx. They were not worn down, they looked pretty great, but after I've put the X-maxx together, I took it out for a bash session. When you land on one wheel, the steel stub axle, the upgrade part for the aluminium, just breaks, it just snaps off. Normally they're quite expensive, also 100 euros for a complete set, but I bought them second hand. I paid 35 euros for 4, but it just wasn't worth it because within 2 bash sessions I broke them all. I don't have any footage of that because I was just getting out for maybe half an hour, just drive the X-maxx and then head back home. But they break like toothpicks. Yeah, not that great. I've seen the design of that and maybe that is something I can produce myself. We'll have to see about that. Then the aluminium stub axles. The problem with those is that the pins that you put in the drivetrain, they wear out the aluminium stub axle, so the holes, they get bigger and bigger. But if you have a milling machine or a precise drilling machine, you can drill additional holes in the aluminium stub axles. I haven't done that yet. It is something that I am planning to do, so when I'm doing that, I'm gonna make a video of it and share it with you guys. For the rest, I am really happy about the X. I have it for more than 2 years. The original 2085 Servo broke down the gears pretty quickly, within a few months. Well, some people break them the same day they get the X-maxx, but for me it took a few months. Then I've placed the 2085 Servo in there, 2085X Servo in there, and it held out for more than 2 years. Never broke the gears, but the problem was that I didn't clean my X-maxx enough. I didn't maintain it good. The bell crank mechanism, the servo saver, everything in the steering mechanism was locked up. There was a lot of filth in there, which makes it harder for the servo to turn, which is putting a lot of stress on the servo motor, which has to work harder, gets warmer. Until it gets too warm, the X-maxx is badly ventilated, and then I burned the servo. Just died. The electronics of the servo died. The gears are okay. So that was on me, not on Traxxas for not building a decent servo. It's not really that strong and that fast, and that's why I upgraded to a Savox servo, which was about the same price, including the aluminium brace. It is twice as fast, twice as strong. It was an obvious choice to make. The only thing I have to do now is take a little bit of better care for my X-maxx, so I can enjoy it even longer.
So this is it. It's a Kawasaki Pickle Rick SpongeBob X-maxx. Now, all in all, I did a quick rebuild of the car. It took me about 12 hours, a little bit less. I upgraded the servo to Savox, changed almost all the bearings, changed some screws that were broken, changed the bell crank system, the servo saver, put a new aluminium skid plate up front, and cleaned it. That's about it. So now it's ready to go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.